Welcome everyone, and thank you for attending the Journey to Great, a Great Place to Work webinar powered by Nationwide. Today, we will be talking about leadership behaviors that drive retention, a deep dive. So let's get started. Before we get started, let me share some housekeeping rules. Everyone is on mute, and you should only hear panelists at this point. The last couple of minutes of the webinar, we will go over questions, so please submit them at any time using the question panel in the top right of your screen. At Great Place to Work, we love feedback. So once the webinar ends, we invite you to answer the 3-question survey that will pop on your screen. Please let us know what you think. We want to hear from you. This webinar is being recorded. You will receive an email with a link to watch the webinar and share with your friends and colleagues after today's session. And for those who attend live, Great Place to Work is recognized by SHRM Professional Credits. So you fill in the survey and you will receive the credit on our follow-up email. Now let's get started. Welcome everyone. I'm Ceci Rima Mosquera, Demand Generation Director at Great Place to Work US. I've been with Great Place to Work for more than 15 years, not only because this is a great place to work, but most importantly, because I believe in the work that we do and the positive impact it has on people, organizations, and our environment. I'm based in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and here today, I'm joined by a great professional. She helps decode the psychology behind high-trust workplaces using Great Place to Work's extensive database on employee experience. She's the senior editor at the Great Place to Work company culture blog and newsletter. She has co-authored reports such as Women in the Workplace and The Power of Purpose at Work, and her profiles at Best Workplaces featured in Fortune. Claire's latest white paper draws on 3 decades of employee surveys data to give HR leaders strategic guidance on nurturing trust, inclusivity, and growth within their organizations. You can read more insights from Claire and other writers at Great Place to Work on our website. Thank you, Claire Haswell, Content Program Manager at Great Place to Work, and my amazing colleague for joining us today. This is yours, Claire.
Thank you, Ceci. Welcome, everybody. So if you're here today, it's probably because you know that a company's greatest asset is a loyal workforce. And you've probably heard the common saying that people don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad managers. Well, our research has told us as much is true. And if you can think back in your career, you can probably think of a time when you've had a pretty bad manager and thinking about what it was about that manager that made them really awful. But what about when you had a really great manager? What were those defining qualities that made them a really great boss? Well, by the end of this webinar, you will know what those defining qualities are that make a great leader. And you also know what actions that you can take and also coach your leaders to take that will influence employees to stay long-term without having to invest in expensive benefits or crazy perks. And also what we'll give you here today is a one-size-fits-all approach. So the tactics that you'll learn apply to all industries, all departments, all roles, all demographics. And I know that we're all very time poor, so I'll give you the areas that you should prioritize because it's not going to be effective to try and boil the ocean. So you'll know what areas to prioritize for empowering your leaders as well as your own leadership. And I'll give you the tools to measure these metrics in your workplace. At Great Place to Work, we've been partnering with companies like yours for more than 30 years to help them understand, measure, and improve their company culture. And in those 30 years, we've learned a lot about the employee experience and what defines a great employee experience. And the truth is that that has not changed much at all over the past 30 years. What we defined back then still holds true today. And this is reaffirmed by the millions of employee surveys that we do every single year through our Trust Index survey. And if I could put it into a nutshell, it would be trust. A great employee experience is defined by one where employees trust the people they work for, they take pride in the work that they do, and they enjoy the people that they work with, which is another way of saying camaraderie and belonging. And this experience is true for everybody. So not just people who are in the leadership team, not just people who are in the head office, but everybody, no matter who they are or where they work in your organization, has this experience. And this is what we call the Great Place to Work model. And this model is really the lens through which we measure and help assess certified great workplaces. Now, I know that this is very conceptual, so that's why today I'm going to break it down for you into tangible, everyday interactions that really can make and break this trust in every workplace. And these are called the 9 high trust leadership behaviors. And if you hang around a little bit longer, we'll give you a downloadable asset with all these leadership behaviors. So the first one is listening, and listening is really at the center because, well, without listening to your employees, it's kind of like trying to read tea leaves. So understanding and having empathy for your employees really starts with listening, and that's why we invented the Trust Index survey as well. Sharing. So this is making sure that all employees feel like they have a stake in your company's success, and also making sure that your employees feel like they have the same access to opportunities as everybody else. Celebrating, not to be confused with employee recognition. Celebrating is about acknowledging and rewarding those people in your organization who really embody your company's mission and also help you move the needle on that mission. Hiring and welcoming. So this is going beyond your typical onboarding practices and really making employees feel like they were anticipated from day one. Caring. This is being supportive of employees, both professionally, but also personally. So that could look like supporting them to reach their career goals, and on a personal level, it could be supporting them in terms of workplace flexibility so that they can also, achieve goals at home. Speaking. So this one is about having clear, transparent, and consistent communication so that all employees feel informed and also understand how their roles are valued towards your organization's goals. So developing. This is investing in employees' growth and development. Really, really critical. Inspiring. This is the ability of leaders to really connect employees to a sense of purpose or a bigger picture beyond the daily grind. And finally, thanking, and this is the employee appreciation part. So this is about showing gratitude and giving thanks to employees and acknowledging their unique contributions that they bring to your organization. Okay, so we're going to open up the poll now. We have a question for you. Which of these 9 high trust leadership behaviors do you think has the biggest impact on retention? They all impact retention, but one has the largest impact. So Ceci's opening up the poll, so let us know what you think is the biggest one.
Thank you everyone for voting. We're almost there. 80% already voted. We'll give you a couple more seconds to see if we can get at least 90%. Okay. We're closing in 5, 4, 3, 2. Closed with 87% of you who voted. So thank you, everyone. And here you can see the answers. So again, to the question, which of these 9 behaviors do you think has the biggest impact on employees' intent to stay long-term? 51% of you answered listening. Interesting. 25% of you said developing is one of those areas. And then followed up by inspiring, 13%, hiring and welcoming, 6%, and sharing, 4%. So Claire, tell us, what does this mean?
Thank you everyone for casting your votes. So if you selected hiring and welcoming, then you would be correct. So this is based on feedback we gathered through our certification program of more than 700,000 employees. And the biggest impact on retention was hiring and welcoming, following by inspiring. And so while we only have a short time today, I'm going to focus in on those top 2 biggest drivers of retention: hiring and welcoming, and inspiring. And if you would like to scan the QR code here, we have the 9 high trust leadership behaviors, a little quick cheat sheet for you. You might like to put this on your desk or your desktop. And if it was my choice, I would use this as a foundation for my own leadership training and performance metrics at my company. So scan the QR code, and we will also give you this at the end of the webinar in the follow-up email. So welcoming. So welcoming is ensuring team members feel anticipated and valued from day one. And the fact is that few companies are doing this well. So Gallup did a survey this year, and they found that only 12% of employees believe their company has a satisfactory onboarding process. So not even a great onboarding process, but a satisfactory one. And in the same study, they found that 2.6 times is how much more likely employees are to feel extremely satisfied with their organization when they have an exceptional onboarding experience. And our research really echoed the same as you saw before. When employees feel welcomed into the organization or in a new team within your organization, they're 4 times more likely to want to stay a long time with your employer. So let's take a look at a real company example. So You Need a Budget. They've been a customer with us for several years, and they have about 150 employees. They are fully remote, and they do a really excellent job of the hiring and welcoming. So as you can see in their Trust Index survey, 99% of employees said that they feel welcome when they join the company or a new team. And that is compared to just 73% at a typical US workplace. And then intent to work at the company long term is 98% compared to 61% at the average workplace. So what is You Need a Budget doing well? So this is some screenshots from their careers page, and it's very detailed. They focus a lot about their culture and also like their values. They even have a link there at the top, which is a link to their certified profile on Great Place to Work. So they get that third-party validation from Great Place to Work that they are, in fact, a great company to work for. And what I like about this is from the get-go, it's not what can you do for us, it's what can we as a company do for prospective employees. And it really sets the tone for a great start and a great welcoming experience at You Need a Budget. We often hear from customers and newsletter subscribers that they struggle to think of ways to create culture and fun with a remote or a hybrid workplace, and they often feel like it's not possible. Well, You Need a Budget really debunked that myth. They are fully remote and have been since the company began, and they really have a great culture of fun. And one way they communicate this on their careers page is that they show photos from their company offsites, which they host, I think, once every quarter. So yeah, if you don't have a office, then it's no problem. There are really other creative ways you can articulate what kind of culture people can expect. Another part of their hiring and welcoming strategy are their job ads. So they are unique in that they all start with the words humbly confident. And this helps them attract the talent that they want. So it signals that they're looking for experts, but experts who are also open to feedback. And it also signals the company's values as well. But what I really like about these job ads is that they're famously long. In fact, this specific one is 2,723 words long. And why this is really important is that the effort that they put into crafting such a detailed and long job description signals You Need a Budget's commitment to finding the right people and their commitment into investing in their workforce. And it really makes job candidates feel like they will be valued and will be a significant asset to the company, which reinforces that welcoming. Once employees start at You Need a Budget, they have a colleague who lives in the local area of the new hire to hand deliver them a welcome package. And inside that welcome package are some typical things like company swag and books that detail the company's, kind of resonate with the company's mission and philosophy, but also it includes personal touches, which is really important. One personal touch is a gift card to the new hire's favorite restaurant. And what I like is how they find out what the new hire's favorite restaurant is in that first interview. So they ask them what their favorite restaurant is, just kind of casually, and then they take mental note of that and then include that in the welcome package. And if you can think of a time when someone has remembered a detail about you or something that you liked that maybe you didn't even remember mentioning, but how good that made you feel when someone remembered that about you. So I really like that personal touch. Another personal touch they include is a collection of handwritten welcome notes from everybody at the company. And one of their leaders gathers all these notes ahead of time and then compiles them together and puts them in the welcome package. And this really, it really makes you feel like you've been anticipated. People couldn't wait for you to start at the company. And Chance Ger, who is the Chief Operating Officer, this is a quote from him. He said, "I think that at most companies, you always get the farewell note, but rarely do you get the welcome note. It makes more logical sense to have the welcome note." And I couldn't agree more. And what they also do at You Need a Budget is after the new hire has begun, they have regular check-ins with that employee and they ask them specifically, hey, are we living up to what we were projecting in our careers page? Are we living up to how that first interview went? So they're always checking in to make sure that their hiring welcoming strategy is living up to expectations. And I really like this quote from our CEO here at Great Place to Work, Michael C. Bush. He said, when someone joins your organization, you should make sure that they know you are expecting them and that you couldn't wait for them to get there. And this really resonates with my experience when I started a Great Place to Work. My manager, Julie, at the time, I remember my first day, I was, editing a blog or something, and she turned to me and she said, "I'm so happy you're here." And I don't think she realized at the time how powerful those 5 words were, but they really, I really took them to heart, and I remember them, almost 5 years later. So remember, ensure new team members feel anticipated and valued from day one with a smooth, personalized onboarding experience that builds trust and affirms their importance to your organization. Okay, I have a question for you. When someone asks you what you do for work, how do you answer that question? Do you say, "Oh, I'm a graphic designer"? Or do you say, "I work at whatever company name it is"? Or do you say, "I help children understand complex concepts"? Well, if you answered C, then I would guess that your company might be doing a really good job at helping connect you to a bigger purpose. And this brings me to the inspiring leadership behavior. So inspiring is about motivating people through attentive listening, asking meaningful questions, and then most critically, connecting their work to your organization's role in the world or a bigger purpose. 3 actions, or I guess you could say facets, really contribute to the leadership behavior called inspiring. So the first one is management set clear goals and also articulate that direction really clearly for your team. Executives role model and really embody the best qualities of your organization. And then the third element is employees really see how their role is impactful and meaningful. And we're going to focus in on that third one because this is probably the most important one. And it's really another way of saying purpose at work. And purpose at work is something that we study a lot at Great Place to Work. And we also have a Power of Purpose in the Workplace report, which you can find on our website, which if you want to go deeper into that topic. But purpose at work is defined by when employees can meaningfully connect to their work, their team, and their company's mission. Okay, has anyone here seen The Bear? This is one of my favorite TV programs of the last few years, maybe ever. And I like it for many reasons, but one reason I really like it is because it shows so well like the dynamics of a workplace, and also about like the passion and the sense of purpose that employees have even in an industry that seems so intent on crushing their dreams. So Kami, if you're not familiar, Kami is the chef in the middle. So the plot line is that he is this really talented chef who's worked at, the French Laundry, and then he returns to his hometown of Chicago to take over his late brother's grimy sandwich shop and essentially turn it into a Michelin-star restaurant. And he has to rally all the current employees at the sandwich shop. He has to rally them around his dream, his vision, and they're really resistant at first. They're kind of like, "Who's this new guy? Like, why? We don't want to turn this into a Michelin-star restaurant. We just want to keep doing what we've always been doing." But what's really beautiful is you see how over time, over the series, that he brings all these different staff members on board with his vision. So you've got Marcus here on the left. So he's the pastry chef. And Kami, seeing his potential, sends him to a very famous restaurant called Noma in Copenhagen to shadow a chef there. And he asks him to come up with 3 desserts and bring those 3 desserts back to the menu at the new restaurant. So he gives him full creative license. And then you've got Tina, she starts out as a line cook, But then she gets promoted to sous chef, and she's sent off to culinary school by Kami, her manager. And there's this really beautiful scene here where she says, "Hey chef, I need a knife for culinary school." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you can use that knife over there." And she's like, "Okay." And then she comes back and she's like, "Wait, this is your knife." And he's like, "No chef, like that's your knife." And she's so taken aback that her leader entrusted her with his very, very flashy and expensive knife. And basically, I think this whole story, as well as all the different narratives in the Bear, they really capture the essence of what it means to be a great leader and connect your employees to a sense of purpose. And Kami is able to do that by trusting his employees with responsibility, investing in their growth, setting a clear vision for his restaurant, and then involving employees in creating that vision. And the result of that is that they can see that their daily grind adds to something much bigger. So why does this matter? Well, as I showed you before, when employees feel like their work has special meaning and they make a difference, they are almost 4 times more likely to want to stay long-term with your company. Let's take a look at another certified company. So Altered State, they are a retail store headquartered in Tennessee, and they hire about 2,600 employees. They actually have a family of different fashion brands, but I'm going to focus in on Altered State for today. So they do a really great job of connecting their employees to a sense of purpose, which isn't something that you classically associate with a retail job, having a lot of purpose, but they do. So 91% of employees feel they make a difference, and 89% believe their work has special meaning. And this is a stark contrast to a typical retail workplace. So this data is from retail workplaces where special meaning is only 39%. So what are they doing right? Well, Altered State, huge piece that is core to their business strategy. It's called Stand Out for Good. And they have a lot of charitable programs and giving back that they do. I won't go into all of them, but I'll focus on just one here, which is called Mission Mondays. So every Monday, a store lead gets to choose a local charity where 10% of net proceeds from that week will be donated to that charity. And what's really clever about this is that employees at Altered State, you know, they feel like they're selling more than cargo pants and cowboy boots. They're actually giving back to the community in every sale that they make. So literally their daily grind has been connected to a bigger purpose. And that it helps create a deeper connection to the company's ethos of standing up for good. Don't just take my word for it. I looked in their Trust Index survey, certification data, and when asked what makes their company unique or unusual that makes it a great place to work, so many employees mentioned the Mission Monday. So it wasn't, you know, certain benefit or perk or anything like that. It was the Mission Mondays. So I'll read out this quote. "I always tell people that I don't just work in retail because our give back mission is what truly stands out. I've worked at other retailers prior to Altered State, and I've never held the pride I do in sharing Altered State's mission. Although we're a large company, having the opportunity to create local relationships with other organizations is something that is truly unique." So yeah, what a testimonial, right? So this one I've highlighted here. It really illustrates that management having a clear vision and strategy, and also feeling your personal impact and contribution as an employee. Another element of their inspiring leadership strategy at Altered State is what's called the inverted pyramid. So the inverted pyramid is basically like a leadership hierarchy which is flipped. So flipped from the traditional hierarchy where you have senior leadership at the bottom, and then as you work your way up, you have frontline staff and customers right at the top. And this really helps Altered State promote that every employee's role is crucial to the collective effort to serve and uplift the community. And this isn't something that just lives in their mission statement. They have it posted up in their retail stores, they have it posted up in their office. And also it's a major factor in evaluating performance at Altered State and also looking for potential for promotion. So again, it's really lived and breathed by everyone there. And again, their employee comments in their Trust Index survey say so much about this. Yeah, when asked what makes their company a great place to work, a lot of employees mentioned the inverted pyramid and how their leaders really embody it. So remember, motivate people through attentive listening, meaningful questions, and connect their work to your organization's impactful role in the world. And that will really help employee retention. So putting this all together, you can see how creating a great workplace really starts with great leadership and these leadership behaviors. And that leadership shapes employee experience. And employee experience shapes culture. And culture drives performance, such as retention. And nothing you've learned here today is just theory. Our research shows that when companies embody and uphold the Great Place to Work model, such as our certified workplaces, they see such lower turnover. I mean, look at hospitality, 69% turnover across certified workplaces, whereas the typical is 20%. So, I mean, sorry, retention. So basically, anyone who's embodying the Great Place to Work model really are retaining their employees very well. So if you would like an easy, straightforward way to measure and improve the levels of trust in your organization, including these 9 high trust leadership behaviors, certification is definitely for you. It starts with a simple automated trust index survey, which measures all of these elements of our model. And then you get this really amazing dashboard of useful data that will help you measure all the areas we discussed today. And I myself also find this data really useful when I'm coming up with topics and insights and trends for content. And then as a bonus, if you meet the benchmark, you become Great Place to Work certified, which is really great for retention, but also for recruitment. And another study we did in July, we found that when a company is Great Place to Work certified, job seekers are 15 times more likely to pick you.
Okay.
You,
Yes, thank you, Claire. Before we finish, Sarah Elizabeth, are there any questions that you would like to share with us for Claire?
Hi, yes, absolutely. So first, I know there's a big question. Some of the QR codes are not working. So for those of you who are asking about the QR codes, we will make sure these documents get over to you, and we will absolutely, after this webinar, in the post email, it will be there. So please do not worry about the QR codes not working. We've got you covered. First one. Asking about how organizations that are smaller may only have an HR team of 1 or do not have a ton of spend available. How do they handle the welcome and onboarding to make it meaningful?
How does a small organization handle welcoming and onboarding to make it meaningful?
Yes, so maybe they are one team of 1 person, or maybe they have a very, very small budget.
Yeah, I think you don't have to have a large budget. It's really about making that person feel valued and anticipated. For example, like the example I gave of my own personal experience, my manager just said to me, "I'm so happy you're here." So it's really about thinking, like acknowledging employees when they begin and making sure that they feel valued when they begin. And personalization is really important too. So it doesn't have to be like a personalized, expensive restaurant voucher, but I think there are ways that you can find to do personalization that don't have to cost a lot of money. Yeah, and I think also getting other members of your team who may not be working in HR on board by showing them the data that look how important it is to have a really great welcoming strategy. And also you can coach leaders on making sure that they know how important it is to acknowledge like when someone's begun at your organization and making them feel welcome. And I will also add another little tip is having like a new hire buddy is really good. We do that at Great Place to Work, and it really feels like you're getting that one-to-one like attention from someone when a small team can't afford to do that, or maybe a really busy manager can't afford to be checking in with all their new hires all the time. So assigning new hire buddies can also be a way around that.
That's great. So we have another question is how do we get the leaders of the companies on board with all of this information that you've presented today, especially in the 9 high trust leaderships, when they don't even attend? And I'm assuming that they don't attend these types of events or just events in general.
Yeah, I think again, being able to draw that clear line between employee experience and performance indicators such as retention, turnover, like those graphs that I showed you earlier in the presentation. These are really compelling. We've worked with customers before, we've had the same problem, but as soon as they see like this slide and how their stock market returns are correlated with high trust leadership, their retention is correlated with high trust leadership, that can really get attention. Sometimes it only takes one graph like this. And yeah, we can, me, Sassy, and Sarah Elizabeth, we can talk afterwards about how we can get these assets out to you. But yeah, if you talk to someone on our team, they can also, like whether it's a salesperson or customer success, they can give you these assets that will help you convince leadership.
Another question is how do you recommend getting leaders to build trust and support in a tactical and tangible way for business/employee resource groups such as neurodiversity, LGBTQIA+, etc.?
Okay, thanks for that question. That's a very specific question. I feel like we could do a whole webinar on that. We have a lot of resources about ERGs, and we have, I think we might have some research in the works. So yeah, I think that's a question that we'll have to follow up later with more information. Yeah.
Another question we have is, what would you say is the best way as a newer manager to a small company to help shift the culture of the company?
As a newer manager, to help shift the culture of the company. Yeah, I think you need to get buy-in, obviously, from other people. And it's also important to get like a baseline. I know that a lot of our customers love the benchmarking that you can do with our products, because you can get a benchmark of where a typical workplace sits and then where a certified workplace sits. And so I think getting a baseline is really important place to begin. So then you know, and then also a benchmark for where you want to be and working towards that goal.
And kind of a follow-up to this question, Claire, is what tactics would you recommend to get people managers buy-in into this process? Majority of the time, they expect HR to handle all of this.
Tactics to get buy-in. Yeah, I think without sounding like a broken record, like showing them the numbers. I do have more tactical tips on how to demonstrate these different leadership, embody these different leadership behaviors in your organization. But yeah, like Great Place to Work, we've been studying employee experience for more than 30 years, the Fortune 100 best companies to work for. are also certified workplaces. So they really, they're only Fortune 100 companies because they embody the Great Place to Work model. So I think that those are all really compelling points that, yeah, living and breathing the Great Place to Work model will help any company with retention.
And kind of sticking on that retention question is how can the HR team improve the retention when the hours of work are longer than 10 hours? This is one of the most important reasons of turnover in the current company I am at.
So working long hours, do you mean? Like,
yes, I
long
would
day?
imagine this is probably maybe a frontline worker who is working 10 plus hours. So maybe this is a nurse, a civil servant employee, manufacturing. I would imagine that would typically work something along those lines.
Right. Yeah, we've done research on burnout and employee well-being, and one of the, I guess, the antidote to burnout, especially for frontline workers and people in industries like healthcare on the front lines, is purpose. We found that the employees that managed to kind of push through, even though they had really grueling hours, it's because they really had this strong sense of purpose. So yeah, I would say that that is one of the best ways that you can help. Yeah, and we also have some more research coming up about, I think it's productivity and what it is that helps employees work more effectively. So that might be a helpful research for you.
Another question we have, Claire, is have you seen a difference in data points across different generations? For example, we see Gen Z enter the workforce. Have you seen certain things they prefer to see experience when onboarding?
We did look at generations for this study, and they were it was pretty similar across generations. However, purpose was even more pronounced for Gen Z. And I can't recall specifics around welcoming and hiring, but I would imagine that it would be even more of like a personalized experience. Yeah, so we are publishing a retention report in January, which covers what we covered today, but then more. And there is a section on generational differences, but overall it's fairly similar. But there is actually a focus area on Gen Z. So I would look out for that report in January.
Another question we have is a little bit more on the global scale, Claire. Having that personal touch during onboarding is very nice. However, it may be more fit for companies that are in the same country. What are your thoughts on implementing a similar structure at a global scale in multiple countries?
Yeah, I think in that scenario, you have to customize, you have to localize, you have to make it work for whatever the local market is. Yeah, I know that Canva, they're a certified Great Place to Work in the Philippines and in Australia. They have a global workforce, and I remember interviewing one of their HR managers, and they had some really good ideas about onboarding, and it was all very remote, but I'm not sure if it was applied to their global workforce. But yeah, I would say that it needs to be a local approach.
And then kind of to that same level, Claire, we had a question of the 9 leadership traits are very practical and extremely powerful. Do you find that they are equally applied regardless of the organizational size and geographical breadth?
Sorry, can you repeat the part about being equally applied?
Sure. The 9 leadership traits are powerful and practical. Do you find that these traits are equally applied regardless of organizational size and geographical breadth?
Yeah, in our research, we found that they applied to all industries. I'm not sure how they're applied, like whether currently, one industry is doing one part better than another industry, but I know that they're just as important for employees who work in construction compared to employees working in finance or technology. They are valued equally no matter your industry, but I couldn't tell you statistics on which industries are leaning into some better than others.
And then I'll give you 2 more questions, Claire. So there's several questions regarding COVID. So have we seen a shift in retention priorities since COVID? Basically, someone's asking, seems like my company's retention numbers have dipped dramatically since the COVID pandemic. What are we seeing across all our companies? Are these companies seeing a rebound yet?
I couldn't speak on the behalf of other companies if they're seeing a rebound, but I know that because of COVID, people, including employees, reassessed what was important to them. So we all reprioritized, what matters most, and finding a job that was meaningful became more important. So I would definitely focus on that one. And obviously it's one of the biggest drivers of retention, as you saw earlier. But yeah, that really made people reassess that, and obviously flexibility as well, since COVID and us all working from home, well, most of us working from home, having that flexibility became more of table stakes, really.
And our last question we're going to do today, Claire, is what other strategies of personal touches can we give to the new employees? Can you give us some more examples? This section was really great, but would love to hear some more ideas.
For new hires,
Correct.
yeah, I can try and think of some off the top of my head. The new hire buddy system, which I mentioned before, it's really great. It's worked for us really well, and I know that You Need a Budget also have the new hire buddy system, and the bonus with that one is that you're not only helping those new hires kind of get adjusted and also be onboarded to the culture more quickly, and also having that person to go to with those, silly questions. It's also great for the person who's doing the mentoring, because it makes you feel like you're helping, right? Almost gives you a greater sense of purpose in a way. So yeah, new hire buddies are really successful. Also, I think something that I've seen done for remote workplaces is doing kind of like an induction questionnaire where it's about like getting to know employees. So asking them like what their likes and interests are, or their hobbies, and that helps get to know employees on a personal level, and you can use those down the line for other personalized touches. Yeah.
Those are all great, Claire. And, if I can add just one thing to that statement as well, when I came on, I got an email from like every person in the company welcoming me to the company and saying, and Claire, I specifically remember yours because I was moving cross country at the time. You emailed me saying, I just moved from Australia, so I know what it's like to go to a place that you know nobody. So that was a really amazing thing. And also my team, even though we were virtual, we did like a team lunch virtually, which was really great. And there were times we would do little team happy hours to make sure that everyone felt and there were games played. So there's a lot you can do to really make those new people really feel excited to be there and that they belong. And me, I've been a new hire buddy for several years now, and I love being able to meet those new people and make them feel welcome. So Claire, that is all the questions that we have for today. So I will turn this back over to Ceci to wrap us up.
Thank you so much, Sarah Elizabeth. Thank you, Claire. And thank you everyone who asked this great, insightful questions. So closing up for today, we have a couple of assets for you. All attendees, you will get an email from us following up with some notes and resources and the recordings, so expect that in the next 24 hours. For those of you who are customers, if you want to measure and improve the 9 high trust leadership behaviors in your company, feel free to reach out to your customer success manager or culture coach. You can access that on your portal here on the QR code. And if you're not a customer but want a quick and automated way to measure the 9 high trust leadership behaviors, get in contact with us. Again, you can scan the QR code. And Claire, if you go to the next screen, I believe that many of you shared that you were having trouble accessing the QR code. So you can try it now again, and now you should be able to access it very fast and quickly. The QR code will take you to this 9 high trust leadership behaviors cheat sheet that Claire shared earlier today. And with that, we want to say thank you so much for joining us today. This is an amazing space for us. We believe that every organization, no matter who you are, where you are, everyone can become a great place to work for all. So we appreciate you participating today, and we hope to hear from you soon. And remember, before logging off, do answer the survey. It helps us bring you interesting and insightful information for you and your organization. So with that, I want to thank everyone, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, day, wherever this day may find you.